What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Cody here, back for another one, guys. And today, just wanted to bring you a little bit of an update here on a couple different fronts. First off, have to talk about the Colts and another guy that they're bringing back for a second interview. That is Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. I think a lot of Colts fans are very now excited because Callahan, obviously, one of the top guys at the offensive coordinator position that could be a head coach. And we all know what he did with the Cincinnati Bengals this year in their offense, and just the history that he's had with developing Joe Burrow, working with Peyton Manning, working with Derek Carr, working with all these different quarterbacks, Matthew Stafford as well. I mean, we all kind of know, it's been noted, Brian Callahan's been around a lot of pretty good quarterback play, and obviously Peyton Manning being a Hall of Fame talent kind of guy. And so, yeah, Callahan gets an interview. He is the seventh second request interview for Indianapolis. The Colts have a couple guys this week, including Callahan. I think Callahan, as I said, is going to be on Wednesday. Shane Steichen also is going to be this week as well. Eagles OC. It looks like the Colts are actually going to fly out to Philadelphia to interview Steichen. So it seems like he's definitely on their short list as well. And so, guys, now it was kind of rumored that the Colts would have, seven guys that they'd bring back for second interviews. Right now, they do have seven. So really the only other guy I could see maybe potentially them bringing in would be maybe Mike Kafka, the Giants offensive coordinator. But other than that, I think the Colts pretty much have their list narrowed down to pretty much what we thought. There's definitely one or two surprises that the Colts have, or one or two guys we maybe wouldn't have initially thought would be, a second interview type of guy. But also will say that Dan Quinn was initially going to have a second interview with the Colts, and he ended up just going back to Dallas and canceling his interview with the Colts and the other teams that were interested as well. So as it stands right now, guys, here are the updated list of second interview guys that the Colts have had. Either they've already had interviews with them, or they have requested interviews, and will be interviewing these guys a second time here in this coming week. Those guys: Jeff Saturday, Ajiro Vero, defensive coordinator of the Broncos; Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator of the Rams; Wink Martindale, who was a defensive coordinator of the New York Giants; Shane Steichen, we talked about, OC of the Eagles; Rich Bisaccia, who is a special teams coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, but also filled in an interim role with the Raiders in 2021 when the whole John Gruden situation went down, and had those guys playing well and actually led them to the playoffs. And then finally, Brian Callahan. So, we came out with a list earlier today kind of talking about how we would rank these different coaches. I'm just going to do just a real quick kind of re-ranking, if you will, of now the seven guys. Initially, we only had six guys because Callahan hadn't had a second interview yet with Indianapolis, and they hadn't requested that and hadn't tried to make it work yet. And I don't think they could up to that point. And so if I'm going, I'm still going to stick with Saturday as the last candidate for obvious reasons. We touched on that. Then I would say Wink Martindale. Then I would say Bisaccia. And then I would say Ejiro Vero. So now that leads me to my top three. And I would say for my top three, I'm probably going to say, see, this is where it's really tough because, guys, I would honestly be ecstatic with any of these three guys. I would be totally good. Really four. I would be fine with Avero as well. But I think out of their top three guys, I would be ecstatic with any three of these guys. So we had Raheem Morris at number one in our list that came out earlier this morning or this afternoon even. But I would probably put Morris at number two for me. And I'd probably keep Steichen. I'd put him still behind him at three. And then number one for me, it's been this for a while, Brian Callahan, just because of his work with some young quarterbacks. But really, guys, you can't go wrong, in my opinion, with any three of these guys. Morris, more of a defensive-minded guy, but he does have, I think, has the potential to bring in probably the best staff of any of these candidates. And so I think that definitely propels him to be one of the top candidates as well. And he's had some head coaching experience. Didn't go well for him, but he was only, 30 some years old, early 30s at that point. And that was, over a decade ago. So Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm good with a lot of these candidates. I think the Colts, they talked about how they were going to cast their net out wide, right? Well, they really, really have cast their net out wide. And, they've had, it's crazy that they've now narrowed their search to 7 candidates. That's just crazy to me. That's bizarre. Teams don't do that, right? Usually teams have a couple candidates and they just kind of narrow it down to like 3 or 4. Colts have narrowed it down to 7. So still not really like got a feel for who their top candidates are. But yeah, I think for me, that is my top 3 candidates, and that's my top out of the 7 guys. That's where I would rank all of them. But yeah, guys, just wanted to kind of give you a quick update. Callahan was a guy that we were all hoping to get a second interview with Indianapolis. And then, obviously last week with his comments about not hearing back from the Colts, we're like, what are the Colts doing, man? Why are they not, giving Callahan another opportunity here at another interview? Was it just really that bad? But I think they weren't actually able to, if memory serves correct, and kind of from what I understand about it, because of the playoffs and stuff like that. But great to see that he's getting a second interview here, and really, I think the Colts have a lot of awesome options with really not a ton, of head coach openings. I think D'Amico Ryans is pretty much a lock right now to go to Houston. So really, who does that leave? That leaves Arizona. We obviously a team. We'll see what they're doing with Sean Payton. I don't know if that's still a thing that's happening. Seems like you say no, and then you say yes, and you just don't know. And then obviously you got to talk about Denver, what they're going to do in terms of head coach as well. And yeah, I don't know. There's a few other teams as well, but really, like the Colts are like one of like 3 or 4 teams that are actually like looking for a new head coach this year, which I think is just, it really serves them well because there's a lot of really good candidates in this coaching cycle. So I'm really excited about really any of these top 3 guys. I think any of these guys would be home run hires for the Colts, and I'd feel good about where they're going moving forward. So guys, let me know your thoughts here on Brian Callahan getting a second interview here with Indianapolis. Where would you rank him here in the coach hierarchy? Would you have him at number 1? Would you have him in your top 3? Or are you maybe not, a Brian Callahan guy? I'm also interested to see, do the Colts do anything with Eric Bieniemy? That's been a name that's kind of been tossed around as well, Chiefs offensive coordinator. I don't know. He definitely had a first interview, but he hasn't had a second interview. Do they potentially offer that to him, or are they done? And are these their 7 candidates? That will definitely bear monitoring, but that will do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate all your support. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so you know when we drop new videos just like this one. But thanks, guys, so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We just hit over 15.3K subscribers. I think our big goal this year in this offseason, if we can hit over 16K here in the next couple months, I think we're going to be doing really well. Man, I have a really lofty goal of 18K by the start of the 2023 regular season. We'll see if that becomes a reality or not. I know it's a lofty goal, but I never thought it would be where we are now in terms of content, in terms of viewership, and you guys coming back. So really do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much, as always. And as always, guys, go Colts.